For decades I've searched for Indiana's ancient places, earthworks and tombs that are thousands of years old. I did the deep research and drove hundreds of miles until I came upon the last destination on my list. There's a certain driving emotion when starting a journey you're excited to make, and yet another when you realize that there's only one place left to go. At one time, this southeastern Indiana valley was covered with Native American burial mounds, hundreds of them scattered across fields, ridges, and hilltops. This was the kingdom of the ancient Adena people. European settlers called it Mount Haven. Early accounts described mounds in every possible direction. They were so common that it became the area's identity. There's even a Mound Haven motel. Surely, if you're looking for ancient burial sites, this is the place to go. You might find some on private land if you know the owner. But today, almost all of them are gone. Farmers needed land to plant crops and whittled them down to nothing. In many cases, you can't tell a mound from a natural feature. These mounds were often in the way of roads and had to go because of progress. We lost more history than was ever recorded. But hidden in the woods, high above Brookville, is a remaining vestige of a prehistoric past. After over 2,000 years, it's still there because it wasn't where a field or road needed to go. It's called the Glidewell Mound, an ancient burial site from 10 BC. The Adena people loved high-up places for cities, religious sites, and tombs for their leaders. It's not on a lot of maps and is virtually unknown to most people, but I am not most people. It's located at Mound State Recreation Area, not to be confused with Mound State Park that's located at Anderson, Indiana. Unlike a state park, this place is pretty much drive in and take your chances. No one is at the gate. There's no nature center with staff. If you get lost or hurt, it's all on you. That's either really exciting or really terrifying. You want the Glidewell Trail, and if you're only interested in the burial mound, take the short loop. If you're a casual hiker, it's more than enough to go in and out. At the beginning of the trail is a kiosk telling more about the journey. This is part of the Adena Trace, a region where people settled over 2,000 years ago. People still find artifacts from when they lived here. If you're so inclined, there are 35 miles on the Adena Trace, but to this ancient tomb is only about 30 minutes. It always starts off easy, but to get there will require an ascent to a high place, once thought holy to the Adena people. You want the trail to the right, the short loop. There won't be another comforting sign for some time to tell you you're on the right track. Having hiked for many decades, I know that anything along the trail that can rub against you can be an on-ramp for blood-sucking ticks. Lyme disease is no joke. Below you is Brookville Reservoir that seems like a stone's throw away, but the further you take the path uphill, the more it becomes a vista. In weeks to come, I knew I wouldn't be able to see it for the trees. My timing was perfect. The first of two bridges. I'd went after a storm and found some trees across the path. Those were easy. They weren't as bad as the constant uphill climb. By the time I hit the second bridge, I was questioning a lot of life choices, believe me, but I knew I was getting closer. Finally, a sign in the middle of nowhere indicating I'd reached my destination. I took a moment to catch my breath, making promises to lose weight and walk more. But just ahead, it was right in front of me, giving me that last burst of energy. It's said that women forget how horrible labor is once they see their child for the first time. I don't know about all that, but seeing the sign did make the lousy walk in the woods less memorable for a moment. The tomb was built in 10 BC. That would make it 2,036 years old by the time I made it there. This and other earthworks in the area were first described in 1869 by Dr. Rufus Hammond. He described it as 15 feet tall, but before erosion and looting, it stood 20 feet tall and 60 feet wide. But in 1879, Dr. George Hampshire excavated the mound and revealed its many unusual secrets. As reported in the Smithsonian Annual Report of 1882, 25 skeletons were discovered, along with a plethora of exotic artifacts. Beads made of shell, a bone needle, pottery shards, arrowheads, a chert blade, and a gorget, all typical mound builder finds, but there was more. There were pendants with what looked like an unknown language. And adding to the mystery, a copper bracelet of fine design. Copper is rarely found in Indiana. These items came from the Great Lakes region, indicating a vast trade network, or a very long trip. The Adena culture was once prominent across eastern Indiana, but mysteriously vanished. This is one of the last Adena tombs that you'll find. While some people swear that these ancient places are haunted or spooky, I felt like I always do, at peace. This is likely what the Adena people felt as they looked over the high bluff 2,000 years ago. What I found was a sunken area where hundreds of years of curiosity has taken its toll. If you were hoping to be a grave robber, someone else beat you to it well over 100 years ago. It's said that when Alexander the Great conquered the known ancient world, he wept as he had no new lands to conquer. As I stood above the hilltop, I felt like I'd conquered every ancient site that I'd sought to find. But it wasn't sadness, it was completion. I actually did it, and it felt great. If I'd waited until I was 67 years old for full retirement, I don't think I could have done it. I would be sitting on money, dreams, spare time, and unable to do anything but regret not going when I could. I still had to stop a few times to catch my breath, sitting on a log or standing against a tree in the quiet. I just breathed in, took a gulp of Gatorade, and enjoyed what I used to take for granted. I set my timer, knowing it took about 26 minutes to get there, and if I kept going, in 26 minutes I would be back. I'd be sitting in my car, having cheated fate once again. Before long, the trail opened up and I knew the journey was about over. But man, what a cool adventure it was. There are still thousands of burial mounds all over Indiana, but Glidewell is the special one. It had been like a myth that people talk about late at night, but no one I knew had actually ever seen it. And at the end of the trail, I was the only one that could say, I've been there and saw it with my own eyes. This ancient area still has many secrets. Some of the mounds that once stood here didn't just disappear. When the reservoir was created, millions of gallons flooded the valley. Countless mounds now lie beneath the waters of Brookville Lake, never to be seen again. As I was driving away, I thought about the book I could now complete, One Less Journey on my list, and how a 10-year-old boy made his dreams come true, even if it took about 50 years. The secret is to make that list, go to those places, and when you come to the very end, wake up the next day and still say, maybe it's time for a road trip.